everybody. Well, I feel like I have just stepped off of the teacups ride in the Magic Kingdom, or some sort of like wild roller coaster. The last, I would say, 3.5 weeks have been just boasting with travel. I would say most of it business, and that's right, I love to travel, but this back-to-back in and out of suitcases isn't for me. It's just not good for me or my nervous system, so it has taken me a little bit to decompress from my last trip, which I just got back from on Sunday evening, and that was a trip to Mexico where I assisted a colleague and dear friend of mine with a 7-event Indian wedding weekend, and we were at the most beautiful resort there. And while I had every intention to show you some highlights of at least the resort, we had nary a moment to shower. It was so busy, but it was very successful. So now that I'm getting back on track, I'm going to take the next couple of days. I definitely have some meetings here and there, but I'm going to take the next couple of days to reprise the role of my favorite role, which is that of house mouse or domestic goddess. So there's a lot of things I feel like I need to do in the house and around the house and in the garden because of my in and out and absence over the last few weeks that I want to get in order. Not to mention, it is May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And we are leaving for Michigan for the summer at the end of this month. So I feel like there's certain things I also want to prepare in this house for our leave. And I feel like there's still some things I haven't even organized in this house since we moved 6 months ago. 6 months ago yesterday. Can't quite believe it. So my hair is in a trusty headband because I got my hair done yesterday by the fabulous Mariana Plaster. She does extensions and color and all this, but I also got sort of my summer keratin because my hair is so crazy curly. It just helps calm it down during the summer with the humidity. And I had them cut like fringe bangs for me, except they are stick straight right now and I don't quite know what to do with them until I wash my hair. So I have my headband. I was just in the garden weeding a little bit and getting some things. So I have some jalapenos that have actually turned red. So I don't even want to know how spicy those are. And these are, we've had so much fun with these little tiny tomatoes that have been growing, and they are just so wonderful to pop in salads. They are very sweet and very juicy. I don't know if you can see behind me, I have some heirlooms and some other tomatoes that we picked off of the vine, and they are ripening beautifully. Also behind me, you will see my naked windowsills. I'm very excited. Hopefully soon. I'm going to guess within the next couple of days. You may have noticed when I did a house tour several videos ago that my office curtains I am in love with, and they are from 2 Pages Curtains, and so those are hanging beautifully and gloriously in my office. And so, you know, that whole process was so easy for me that I just went back on their website trying to think of our other windows here and our French doors. Now we had these sort of silver, they looked very office-like, and it took some convincing, but I finally convinced Mr. Lyons to have them taken down. But now I do need to dress some of these doors and windows. But I wanted to start with the kitchen because I believe while we're gone in Michigan, we are going to have the kitchen redone. We're going to have the cabinets resurfaced in a beautiful sage green. So I picked the loveliest Roman shades, and I can't wait for them to come in. I can't wait for them to come in. They almost remind me, you can see I have a common thread here. They almost remind me of this a little bit. So when they come in, you better bet your bottom dollar I will be sharing those with you. So I am now going to have a late breakfast. We had to get Fred off to the vet this morning just for his shots and everything. I'll give you some pet updates as well later on in this video, but I'm going to have some breakfast. And I don't know about you, when you travel, even with your best will and your best intentions, sort of your diet gets off a little bit. And being in Mexico, we were at an all-inclusive resort, and I wish we could have taken advantage of that a lot more. But when I tell you we were working about 14 hours a day, standing, walking, everything like that, it's not a joke. But because of that, there were delicious food. It's just prepared probably differently in a way that you're used to and things like that. So I feel like my system got a little bit off. So I'm going back to my tried and true. I'm going to show you my breakfast for the day. One moment. So I'm going to try to take it easy on my system. And these are my trusty egg bites. I love them. They've got spinach and veggies in them, and they are so, so delicious. I really, really, really need a good recipe to make these myself because I have a silicone muffin tray to do these because it would be far more economical, and I could customize it a whole lot more, although these are so delicious. I get these at Costco. And then I have a half of an avocado, trying to double down on the protein here. I need some stamina. I'm still feeling quite sluggish from everything. Plus there was a time difference. It was nominal, it was 2 hours, but nonetheless a time difference. And I feel like always coming back from west to east is a little bit harder on your body. And here are my trusty broccoli sprouts, which are, I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll say it again and again, probably the most nutrient dense foods you can ever put in your body, loaded with antioxidants. So I'm going to keep that on the side. The taste is so subtle, if anything, and if you like broccoli, you may get a hint of that flavor here and there. I'm just going to put a little salt and pepper on the avocado, maybe a little bit of hot sauce on my egg bites, and I'm going to call that a breakfast for the day. So on tap for today is a little bit more organizing, unpacking. I still haven't unpacked, which is very unlike me, and just get some things in order, and I look forward to bringing you along for the week, but for now it's breakfast time. Hello again, friends. So today is Wednesday. I had a wonderfully productive day yesterday when I last spoke with you. You'll all rest easy knowing that I have fully and completely unpacked. I also think I've cracked the code to traveling like that. I may share that later in this video or in another video, but I think I've cracked the code and I can't wait to share. I am continuing my role as domestic goddess and chief house mouse officer of the Harvard house here. And I am very, today is more garden focused. I have some other things going on. I actually have a meeting in about 90 minutes that isn't too far from my house with a client that I'll be getting ready for. But I wanted to show you some somewhat free, if you will, ways to help nurture and sort of foster your garden, the soil, and all of that, and feed it well. So Mr. Lyons thought I was crazy last summer when I started this, but it really, really helped. And now that we are T-minus 3 weeks from leaving for December, of course I feel like our garden is robust now and finally blooming. We went through so much several months ago trying to get it in place, but I'm so happy. Someone will be enjoying it in our absence, I assure you. However, I want to give it a good boost so that perhaps I can go ahead and harvest some things and even bring it with us up to Michigan, if not enjoy it right before we go. So last summer I convinced Mr. Lyons, and this isn't from last summer, this is just from our most recent usage. Every time he loves eggs, and every time he makes eggs, I have him rinse them out, or I rinse them out, and I've been storing them away. So I have them here, don't know if you can see, crushed up in a baking pan. Even though these are rinsed, I am going to bake these off a little bit in the oven just to kill off any bacteria, and then I'm going to sprinkle that all over the garden. Now, I'm going to show you my other 2 tips, and then I'm going to explain the benefits for each one of these, because while I know them generally, I want to give it to you specifically so you know why I'm going through all of this. So, I'm going to preheat the oven, and I'll be right back. Pop this in, and we'll get these started. Okay, those are in, so I typically do it like low and slow. I have it on 200, I'll keep an eye on it. Certainly when I start to smell something, I'll just turn it off. I know that it's baked off. Now the other thing is, everyone laughs at me because, you know, well, my dogs are my children now. Once my children sort of grew up and left the nest, like my oldest daughter Sarah says to me all the time, she's like, it's like we graduated, moved on, and you started to collect dogs, and she's not wrong. But so our dogs are my children now, and so I have a lovely routine with them, but my husband jokes that I do feed them something every 3 hours. Now listen, I don't make the rules. I don't want their blood sugar to drop. I just want to make sure they're fine. At any rate, they usually eat anywhere between 5:30 and 6 in the morning. That's their breakfast. And then every 3 hours, I give them a little something just to tide them over. So 9 a.m. is what I call, and I have to whisper because Miss Zoe is staring at me, we have banana time. BT, so banana time. So they split, the 4 of them, a banana every morning. And so what I do from there is, now you can see this. This looks like a bunch of murky water, but I'm soaking banana peels. So I'll do this. I have 3 in here now. I'll probably feed the garden with this tomorrow. I'll do a 4th banana peel, and what this does is it soaks up all of the potassium from the banana peels, and it makes it very nutrient dense as well, particularly in potassium. And again, just like the eggshells, I will relay those benefits to you shortly. I will read them off of my phone so I don't mess anything up. And finally, I also have 2 loaves proofing of sourdough in my refrigerator now. I'm trying to get caught up with my sourdough baking since I've literally not baked anything for 3 weeks. So I've had the starters in the refrigerator and I revived them yesterday. So made some dough. They're looking great. I still have some more starters because, like I said, I want to get caught up. This Sunday is Mother's Day. I want to bring some to my mother's house. We're having a family gathering. We have brand new next door neighbors next door. I want to deliver something, a nice sort of curated basket with some homemade goodies to them to welcome them to the neighborhood. And I feel terribly because they moved in the week we went to the Bahamas. And so I feel like, although we've properly introduced ourselves, I feel like I have not properly welcomed them. So I'm very much looking forward to preparing a basket for them there. But this is some leftover starter from one of the loaves that I have proofing now. And so what I'm going to do is dilute this. This one is Mrs. Patmore. She was somewhat underperforming. Daisy has been doing much better, and Marge is, of course, large and in charge. So what I'm going to do is dilute some of this from Mrs. Patmore, and I'm going to actually put it in a bigger jar because there's quite a bit in here. Dilute that, mix it up, and also feed that to the garden, and I will explain those benefits to you as well. Okay, so starting with the first tip I showed you, which are the eggshells that are baking right now in the oven. I'm going to put on my glasses here so I can read this to you and explain the benefits of the eggshells. So eggshells in the garden are an excellent slow release of calcium carbonate, 95%, to boost soil nutrients, strengthen plant tissues, and raise pH in acidic soil. They are particularly beneficial for tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants. So I have tomatoes and peppers. Fun fact, I don't know if you all know this, anyone who knows me does, I am highly allergic to eggplant. They will sadly never be in my garden. It also prevents blossom end rot, while crushing shells may deter pests like snails and slugs. And I will say I haven't had any of those issues this season at all. Touch wood. Touch wood. Haven't had that problem. So that is a wonderful thing. Now, in terms of soil amendment, there are the home improvement stores, the nurseries, all that. They sell these things for, I don't know how much money, but like when you can just do it from food from your own home, it makes perfect sense. I haven't had to buy any type of soil amendment whatsoever this season, with the exception of perlite, which isn't actually an amendment. We were having some drainage issues in the garden. Another story for another time, but that did the trick. It just helped drain the soil, and so we are fit and fighting fit right now. Now, the benefits of banana water. Now, banana water enhances soil quality, promotes root growth, and boosts flowering and fruiting. Oh, oven has been preheated. In plants like tomatoes, roses, and I have brand new roses, and ferns, while acting as sustainable water-reducing gardening practice. And that's really great too, because we are currently on this is our dry season, so we're kind of on water restrictions here. So if this is helping to keep my soil well hydrated and moist, that's wonderful, because I cannot, even though we have the irrigation in there, I cannot water more than I am allowed to here in the city of Orlando. So clearly the banana water is a high potassium source, which boosts the flowers. It also contains magnesium, phosphorus, which promotes the root growth, and calcium, which are essential for overall plant health. It's ideal for, oh, I didn't know this. Although I have it in my kitchen garden, banana water is great for tropical house plants such as monstera or pothos. Many of us have pothos in our homes, ferns, and orchids. Oh my gosh, I have orchids in the house, and I'm definitely going to save some for that. And again, it's sustainable waste reduction and water reduction. Okay, now on to the benefits of the sourdough starter in your garden. So what diluted sourdough starter acts as a nutrient-rich probiotic fertilizer for gardens by introducing beneficial lactobacilli and wild yeast, which improves soil health, stimulates growth, and boosts plant immunity. Let's see, it boosts microbial life. The yeast and bacteria increase beneficial biological activity in the soil, creating a healthier, more resilient and productive growing environment. It acts as a natural fertilizer. It solubilizes nutrients. Lactic acid bacteria in the starter helps break down nutrients in the soil. It improves soil structure and disease suppression. I mean, again, these are all things I've had in the house. I'm trying to be as zero waste as possible. As you may also know, we freeze our veggie scraps and then we make our veggie stock out of this. So truly try to be as zero waste as possible. When we get back to Orlando in late September or whenever we're getting back, I really want to look into a composting bin of sorts, and we'll look into that in Michigan as well because it's best. It's for the best. So I'm going to now get the sourdough also ready to go, and I can't wait to show you those loaves as well. I'm going to show you. Hold on one second. Okay, I think I've really also cracked the code with some of this. My sourdough loaves were very good before, very good. If I do say so myself. Like I said, my husband's office requests one, sweetly, every week or when they run out, and I certainly don't mind doing it, but I've learned to get a bigger rise, and so, ooh, this looks good. What I do is I proof it overnight in my oven, and covered, of course. You saw me take the dish towel off of it, and it's giving me such a bigger rise, and then I refrigerate it. So I took it out this morning when I came out into the kitchen at about 6 a.m., and it is going on about 1:30 now. I like to keep it in the refrigerator for a minimum of 8 hours. I used to, once I finished with the dough, let it proof overnight in the refrigerator, and that was great too, as I said. Keeping it in the refrigerator gives it more of that sour taste that everyone loves with sourdough, but I love the rise that comes with keeping it at room temperature overnight. And then I think now the sweet spot is 8 hours in the refrigerator. This might have to go a little bit longer because, like I said, I have that meeting coming up, and I really like to be on top of my sourdough, especially when it's baking. It only takes 45 minutes, but I have two loaves. So I cannot wait to show you how those turn out as well. But I'm gonna let these eggshells cook off, and I'm gonna head to the garden and apply the banana water and the sourdough starter. Best way to trim basil so that it will continue to grow and give you plenty of basil flowers without going to seed. And a few of mine did go to seed. That's when it sprouts up and you can see some little white flowers. But if you want to go and try to find where there's 2 extra leaves, and you just want to sort of pinch it right there. And what that does is it allows these leaves now to continue to grow, and it will then grow wider and taller and be extremely bountiful. So I'm going to do that here. I have plenty of basil to harvest here to make my mother some fresh pesto, which I'm going to bring over later today for Mother's Day. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there is a basil plant, and I suspect that this basil grew from seed. I don't believe I planted one in between here, but if I push back these, if I push back the tomato plants here, you will see that right here, this is what's gone to seed. So I definitely want to at least get rid of that. Here's another shoot that's doing that. Because I'm leaving the garden in just a few weeks and heading to Michigan, I'm going to leave that in the bed to decompose and perhaps even seed while I'm gone. I certainly wouldn't mind coming back to a garden bed full of basil. So here I am, still harvesting some basil. Like I said, I might be able to even make my mother 2 jars of pesto with all the basil I have in the garden. And the other reason why I plant basil, here in the garden in between the tomatoes is because the saying goes, if it grows together, it goes together. So we all know caprese salad is basil and tomatoes, and of course some yummy burrata or mozzarella cheese. So the basil helps keep insects away. And I've had absolutely no problems with my tomatoes this year. So it's win-win, basil and tomatoes. Well, I am as happy as a clam. Today is Sunday, and it's actually Mother's Day. So happy belated Mother's Day to all of the mothers that may be watching this video on this Wednesday. This has been the first weekend that I have been home in situ since the beginning of April. And that includes last weekend, which was the first weekend of May. So yesterday, Mr. Lyons and I spent the loveliest and fullest and hottest day at Disney. We went to Animal Kingdom, and then we went to Hollywood Studios with another couple of friends of ours, Gerard and Jody, and we had such a wonderful time. We even happened to have run into additional friends, Rich and Susie, and so it was one of those planned and also impromptu, really, really wonderful, memorable days. Friday night, we had a friends bowling date with my circle, my girlfriends, and the husbands, and we had the most amazing time. I actually bowled a strike. I am not a bowler. I used to bowl under and between the legs, but my friend Amanda taught me how on Fridays. But I thought I'd walk you through what I'm doing for Mother's Day for my mother. We have admitted it's been such a busy season with me for work. That's no excuse. She also had a back surgery, so she's been sort of convalescing from that this season, and so the both of us are heading to our respective up north homes in just a couple of weeks, and we just are really trying to savor our moments together. So this Mother's Day, I really wanted to put something together for her with heart, and that was sort of homegrown. Of course, on Mother's Day, I've purchased her bags and things and massages and blowouts and all the things, but I really, really wanted this to come from the heart, and especially because I've been so busy with this season and hardly home. I wanted something really, really well curated. So you will see behind me, I don't know if you can, I have harvested this morning cups. I wanted to make her just one thing of homemade pesto, but I think I'm going to be able to make quite a bit more. I also harvested 14 jalapeno peppers, and my father will get that for Mother's Day as like a bonus gift, because sometimes, he can be 2 in 1 as well. So I'm gonna get busy getting this together, and I want to take you along, and then I will share my recipe for this delicious pesto. Here are some of the beautiful components that I have gathered here to make this beautiful homespun, homegrown, from the heart Mother's Day present for my beautiful and supportive mother. So these were the tulips that I told you I purchased. I immediately put them in water the moment I got home, and you can tell, I don't know if you know this, but when you cut tulips and put them in, they continue to grow. So these have actually gone wild in just a few hours since I've gotten them. So obviously I want to refine this a little bit more, so I'm going to trim them up, style them a little bit better. There's a really sweet trick you do there where you kind of spiralize them and it comes out into a beautiful bouquet. I plan on doing that. I have a lovely card. It's no coincidence that it's color matched to my vase. I have a beautiful tea towel. My mother is a fan of red wine, and then just in the spirit of making healthy choices this year for her. I did get her an organic wine, and I do happen to love the wines from EVOO. They use organic grapes, and it's delicious. I particularly love their table white wine, and I got a bottle of rosé for myself as well. And then I got this sweet basket. I figured she could use this somewhere in the house at any point, and then I'm going to put some of these items in here so she can sort of open it up, and that will be her box, if you will. And I'll find a beautiful ribbon for that as well. Now, this was the fun part. So this is a frame that I got at Target as well. You know, I try to keep my children off of the blog. But anyway, this is a beautiful photo from the holidays of all of us. And again, the quality, it's a little fuzzy. It was from an iPhone. It was at the end of the evening. There may have been wine involved. But it's a really happy photo. It's all of us. It's Mr. Lyons and my ex-husband standing next to each other. I mentioned we are one big, modern, happy family. My brother is there with his children and his ex-wife, and it was probably one of the more memorable Christmases I've ever had. I know that my mother and I have had several conversations about this past Christmas and just how grateful we are to be the family that we are. Every family is different, and every family has its own story and its own threads, but that's what weaves sort of that great family blanket. So I've had a wonderful call today from my oldest daughter, and that was just the loveliest conversation. She then followed it up by bringing me to tears and texting a photo of the two of us on my very first Mother's Day when she was just a baby. I will also pop that photo right here for you to see. I don't ever remember being as happy and as proud, and I was proud of me. Anyway, beautiful time. It's making me emotional. And I get to see my baby. I get to see my youngest when I go to my mother's house in just a couple of hours. And speaking of a couple of hours, I really need to get this pesto underway. And I will show you the finished product when it's all completed. Okay, I like to put the walnuts in first so that the blades get them. Otherwise, it doesn't really get ground up as much. The garlic is in there and the olive oil. This did call for a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, which I'm putting in now, freshly squeezed. It actually took more lemon than I thought. It took 1.5. Here's that fresh basil. Pack that in there. Hope this Vitamix does me justice, and that yummy Parmesan cheese. Okay, let's see how this comes up. Okay, so the color looks beautiful. That color green that I love so much. And I think that is so good and so fresh. I think that the lemon juice really helps to brighten it up. Love the garlic, but sometimes you need to cut it a little bit with the acid. So I'm gonna put a little bit more lemon juice in there. I did add salt and pepper while it was whisking away. So now I'm going to put this in a reused jar. And I'll scrape the rest in there, but voila. Homemade pesto for Mother's Day. Okay, so we are moments away from leaving. It is such a hot day here in Florida today. Mr. Lyons just finished making the salad for us to bring over. You can see the tulips here. Actually, I love the way this looks in my desk. I'm in my office. I should do this more often, put a nice bouquet of flowers here. So the cut tulips look absolutely beautiful. I love the way they look in this sort of sage green vase. Her little basket of homemade things and things with love are complete. I had extra basil, so I put it in a sachet here. It can either help just sort of deodorize their refrigerator, or she can use it in recipes over the week. I have a card, of course. I went ahead and wrapped the frame, put a beautiful green velvet bow around, and I think green is the theme here. This beautiful tea towel is wrapping her bottle of wine, and I have a lovely organic hand-poured candle here, and it's also green. It smells like peppermint, so another herb. So this is a very herbaceous video. I just love spring and summer for recipes and gardening, and I know I say that probably for every single season, but this is really just truly lighting me up. It feels so, so good to be home because it's not only every weekend in April that I was gone, plus last weekend. It was my whole season started in early March, so it just feels really, really good to feel grounded. Here's the box of jalapenos for my dad, and I am ready to put this in her beautiful little hands. So if you have basil or herbaceous recipes, I would love for you to share them in the comments. Also, if you like this content, please let me know in the comments. This has been so much fun just playing around with you in my garden all week and making recipes and just, you know, being a CEO house mouse of my humble abode here. So also, if you like this content or you think someone would really, really like and benefit from it as well, please share. And of course, like and subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. Well, we are heading off to Mommy's house, and I hope you all have a fabulous week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you in next week's video. Bye-bye.